嚟到咧，我哋呢個係日內瓦記者俱樂部嘅現場咧，我哋有一個咧線上嘅論壇。Welcome everybody to our online forums at the Geneva Press Club. Today we have a topic about Article 23 legislations. We have a very honorable guests to join us for today's online forums. First of all, I would like Mr. Ho, Journalist Ho, to give us an opening.
各位好，大家好，大家好 ，Good morning to everybody 啊！咁好高興喺呢一度咧，就有呢一個網上同大家傾談下，迎來嘅嘉賓咧，我哋有成10位啦。咁一陣由阿德去逐位介紹。咁今日我喺呢度做一個好簡單嘅開始咧，開場白就係IPSA 喺今次嚟日內瓦出席呢個人權理事會嘅會議，第55次會議。另外咧就 ICCPR 就係國際公民同埋政治權利嗰個委員會嗰個第140號會議咧，兩個都係非常成功。喺呢一度咧，我哋唔單止咧就為香港講嘢，特別喺呢一個關鍵時刻咧，香港嘅23條立法係嚟得係適逢其時。喺呢一度咧，亦都係講解咗短短1分半裏邊咧，香港情況同埋香港嘅嗰個環境、立法嘅嗰個精神同埋嗰個後邊嘅理念。咁跟住咧就亦都係我哋另一條線咧就成功地咧就喺呢個國際公民同埋政治權利委員會度咧就同呢啲專家係講解下我哋關心喺英國移民咗去英國嘅香港10幾萬人，佢哋係咪受到一個恰當嘅對待咧？咁呢個係唔係做被動嘅，係一個主動提出嘅嗰個關懷。咁我哋亦都做咗一個好全面嘅報告，交俾呢一個ICCPR 嘅委員會。咁兩條路咧都走得非常之靚。咁尋日咧亦都有一個好好嘅場合咧，就同呢一個叫做高專嗰啲叫做高級專員咧，就談論下我哋嘅情況。咁佢哋對我哋香港23條立法咧係唔清楚。咁稍後我再有機會同大家講解下。咁今日迎來咁多位嘉賓咧，喺呢度同大家講咧就係呢個國際嘅舞台，的確係好適合我哋香港人，適合我哋香港年青人咧，係走嚟呢一度發聲。子敬係我哋嘅前輩啦，因為佢較早前都講過。咁另外就有何超瓊女士啊，同埋伍淑清女士都講過。咁林琳啊，我亦都知道。咁適逢我啱啱前日發言嘅時候咧，咁Gary Wong 黃子謙咧，佢亦都係有喺下晝度發言。陸陸續續香港人為香港講事，為中國講事，呢個係值得我哋係喺呢一條路上邊打拼嘅。多謝，我交翻俾主持人。
好，咁今日我哋論壇正式開始啦。首先咧，我想邀請咧李思敬先生，立法會議員。Now we have Mr. Dominic Lee, member of LECO, to give us a speech. Hi.
好 ，Hello， 唔該晒德哥，亦都多謝咧何律師啦，舉辦咧今日呢一個會議啦。咁子敬咧好高興咧有機會參加呢一個咧線上嘅論壇啊。咁我想講講就係而家個情況啦。咁啱啱咧，其實子敬同Dr. 梁即係梁美芬教授咧，就喺立法會嘅。咁我哋今日下晝咧就喺內會嗰度咧，就係正式咧就係因為其實琴日咧就完成咗咧個審議嘅程序。咁所以今日咧內會咧就正式將佢咧擺喺我哋下一次咧立法會大會咧嘅 agenda 嗰度。咁預期咧即係最遲啦，應該可能係下個禮拜3嘅立法會大會咧就會我哋去表決呢一個23條嘅呢一個法例啦，咁希望咧係獲得通過嘅，咁應該係會獲得通過嘅。咁我想咧就住因為時間唔太多啦，咁就住咧幾點啦，因為美西方咧國家同埋政客啦、媒體咧最近咧就住23條咧作出咗經常嘅一啲抹黑啊，佢哋咧派出咗好多唔同嘅人士，包括前港督彭定康啊，佢哋嘅外相卡梅倫啊，佢哋嘅即係唔同嘅報章啊 ，Bloomberg 啊 ，Times 嗰啲抹黑。咁就住兩樣嘢，我想作一個簡單嘅回應。第一樣嘢咧就係佢哋咧經常批評我哋咧就係呢一個諮詢嘅時間咧比較短，立法過於倉促。但係我想提出嘅咧就係其實喺911咧嘅恐襲之後咧，當年咧喺即係 2001年啦，美國嘅國會咧只係用咗3日嘅時間咧就通過咗佢哋國安咧有關嘅法律，叫愛國者法案，即係 Patriot Act。咁啊，成為美國咧歷史上邊第一部咧係專門賦予執法部門更加大權力去打擊咧即係呢啲恐怖主義嘅法例。所以咧其實根本咧係國家安全嘅保障咧係因時制宜，一定要咧就係如果係有咁嘅需要嘅話，就要迅速立法。咁所以呢一個係反駁咗佢哋咧對我哋嘅第一點抹黑。第二點抹黑咧就係成日都話咧譬如我之前上 BBC 嘅時候咧，個主持人都會話啊，你哋咧嗰度好嚴格嘅國安法好嚴厲啊，定係點樣嚴苛啊咁樣。但係其實咧我哋今次咧呢一條咧呢個維護國家安全嘅法例咧，其實係比外國相關嘅法例咧係更加溫和。就以叛國罪咧作為一個例子，香港而家咧講緊最高嘅刑罰或者係終身監禁，但係美國同埋新加坡咧就係死刑嘅。嗱，公開表明意圖咧係侵犯呢個叛國罪咧，香港最高嘅刑罰咧只係14年嘅監禁，喺英國同埋加拿大咧都係終身嘅。咁間諜活動咧，香港最高咧就係20年監禁，但係咧澳洲同埋英國都係終身，美國甚至乎要死刑。咁煽動意圖相關嘅罪行咧，香港最高嘅刑罰咧就係監禁7年啦，但係咧加拿大就14年，美國咧甚至乎係20年監禁。咁所以睇得到咧，我哋呢一條23條嘅立法咧，其實係平衡咗速度啦。我哋維護我哋國家安全嘅效力啦，同埋咧，我哋對於我哋香港人人權自由嘅保障。咁所以咧喺呢一個時候咧，子敬好榮幸可以喺今屆嘅立法會裏邊咧，就住23條咧係出力。咁希望咧喺一個禮拜內，我哋就可以將呢一條咧嘅法例咧係成功通過。咁啊，一勞永逸，保障我哋咧香港嘅國家安全啦，同埋咧係免受咧，以免香港成為咧我哋國家嘅安全嘅漏洞嚇。咁多謝大家。
好，多謝子敬啊 ，Thank you, Dominic. Then we have Miss Priscilla Leung, also member of our LEGO, and also a very experienced legal professional expert. 梁議員，早晨你好，我哋呢邊早晨。
早晨。Yeah.
係。
Okay. Yeah. First of all, thank you for the chair, journalists, and all the other professors. I am speaking as a legislator of Hong Kong as well as a barrister and a local and national legislator lawmaker of China and Hong Kong as a owl. First of all, I would like to introduce to our international friends what actually is one country, two system, and why do we have this very famous Article 23 legislation right now. In fact, if you look at the world, history teaches us that in the process of decolonization, often brings wars and bloodshed. But Hong Kong and Macau returned to China under one country, two system. We have a very peaceful handover to China, and that actually is a herald for peace for the world. I think we have set up a very good example for the world that, in fact, to solve sovereign disputes, we can have a very peaceful model. No political system in the world can override people's aspiration for peace and security. And Hong Kong is very fortunate. Under one country, two system, after 1997, we continue to keep our common law system, low tax system, free economy, free currency, and a very, very strong international financial center, etc. For those who are not familiar with Hong Kong, we welcome you to come to see how strong Hong Kong is to adhere to the rule of law. Especially, we are very famous for our common law system. And after 75 years of setting up the present China, in fact, China has also become a very strong supporter for international law and international order, which is the cornerstone for international peace after World War II. Without the heart to adhere to international rules, I think the world is facing crisis for international world war again, and we don't want it to happen. So law is a very, very strong element for peace. We aspire to solve international disputes and local disputes by the rule of law. So the basic law is to implement the promises of China under one country, two system. And we both have the constitutional obligation as well as the strong opportunities. Huge opportunities have been provided to Hong Kong after we return to China, because China has a very, very fast pace to develop her economy. And she also has learned a lot from the Hong Kong software system, like common law system and economic system. We also help to train the Chinese judges for international rules and order. So today we are in an international arena. We are talking about United Nations and ICCPR that everyone is very familiar here in Hong Kong, in the world. Article 19 of ICCPR has stated that everyone enjoys freedom of speech, freedom of expression. But in the same provision, Article 19, paragraph 3, there is a very clear provision that an individual reputation, as well as for protection of national security, for protection of public order, public moral and hygiene, there can be the necessary restriction for individual freedom and right for their exercising. And for a common law jurisdiction like Hong Kong, we have very, very famous cases, common law worldwide shared, is the proportionality test. And in 2015, the landmark case Hong Kong Hyson has built up a very clear principle, which is shared in common law jurisdiction, that apart from the necessity rule, we also have to balance individual interests and public interests and national interests. We want to have a very fair balance, and we will adopt proportionality test in our common law system. So what is Article 23? If you look at the world, no central government of a sovereign would delegate the power to pass law to protect national security. But China has done so with her huge political capacity. Under basic law, China has authorized Hong Kong and Macau SAR to pass a series of local legislation to protect national security. And for Macau, they continue to practice Portuguese law. And for Hong Kong, we continue to practice common law. By passing local legislation under Article 23, all these series of ordinances will be by common law practice. We have heard them with 3 readings, our normal practice in lawmaking process. And when there is a dispute, we would adopt common law practice. Section 2 of the present draft of Article 23 has highlighted that we would comply to the International Covenants on Human Rights and Protection. So far, under my research, I haven't seen any other common law jurisdiction have highlighted that kind of sections of human rights protection. We also emphasize on our common law principles of presumption of innocence, beyond reasonable doubt, as well as the due process if in case an individual will be prosecuted under our system in Hong Kong. We guarantee we will protect our due process protection, and we will allow both parties, our lawyers, to do their very good job. And at the end, our court has been very famous in the world that they are upholding rule of law, and we're upholding equity and all these principles to protect human rights. Here, I want to emphasize that Hong Kong has always been famous for our common law system. We have a very strong will to adhere to international practice. And we did have done a very thorough survey along the world, that because we inherit a lot of practice from UK. Also, we take strong reference also from US that we respect their common law practice. All this draft now we are putting up before the Legislative Council today. The Legislative Council is the lawmaking body of Hong Kong SAR, Hong Kong, are in compliance with international practice. It is also with very, very high standard. We protect and we offer defense for people who are really with goodwill for discussion purpose. that they will have a good defense for this state secrets, etc. More, I want to say that we do have some existing law that already protect state secrets, not to allow people to run one country, two system, to advocate this pro-independence, which has been breaching our one country, two system bottom line. We do have existing law, but we want to tell our people, our ordinary public, as well as the world, and also our foreign friends who come to Hong Kong, that we will have a very comprehensive and systematic set of rules that you will find we are completely following international practice, both to protect international trade and protect our international standard of human rights, as well as provide a very strong defense system for our success to be, if they are suspected to have breached our existing law and legislation. We do this in order to tell the world that Hong Kong is the very strong and the only common law jurisdiction for China, and we continue to protect international trade. We continue to uphold our system under one country, two system as a capitalist system, as well as we protect free trade. I have attended many of the draft bill in Hong Kong, and I can guarantee it has been very seriously discussed, thoroughly discussed, and the bill is very, very deserving international support and respect. For those people, especially, let me finish my last sentence. For those people who are professionally trained in law, I welcome you to look at your own national security law in your home country, especially the common law experts, and you will see how generous Hong Kong has been to protect human rights and our international trade and trade friends. And we hope that you do offer your objectivity to look at our bill, and you offer your genuine support to this draft of Article 23 to protect national security in Hong Kong. And we also want to say that Macau has done her job in 2009 for 15 years. They haven't prosecuted any individual. And that is the whole point of passing this set of law, so that we have a good general education for our general public.
Thank you, Priscilla.
The world. Thank you.
Thank you, Priscilla, for the very detailed explanation of the Article 23. Now we have Mr. Lawrence Ma, also a barrister and also the consultant of our IPSA. Hi.
Thank you. Yes, thank you for having me. Western critics to our proposed Safeguarding National Security Bill have little to say about their own national security regimes, however draconian they are. Now, take the United States as an example. Firstly, they have a chunk of laws to deal with national security, including the Patriot Act 2001. Now, in suspected terrorism cases, the act weakened privacy rights by allowing the government access to people's telephone records without court authorization. Although the act was reformed by the Freedom Act 2015, which was supposed to end bulk surveillance, the National Security Agency still collected large amounts of personal data, which is in my view, a blatant infringement of personal privacy. Now, secondly, the U.S. punishment on national security offenses can be tougher than Hong Kong. Take treason, for an example. It is the death penalty there, whereas in Hong Kong, the maximum is life imprisonment. Take another example, espionage. The maximum penalty can be dealt with in the U.S., it can be death in the U.S., but the maximum in Hong Kong is only 20 years. So if you do the math, also, the United States has 23 national security laws collectively. And we in Hong Kong only have, including this bill, 3 such laws. So what is the fuss? Now, if we go to the United Kingdom, they have a strict national security regime, including the National Security Act 2023. Its sweeping provisions created new espionage and sabotage offenses. It curbs the pretrial rights of suspects, and it gives the police intrusive search powers. Now, firstly, unlike our Safeguarding National Security Bill, England does not incorporate the ICCPR, which is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Secondly, the UK's punishment is more severe in some of the offences. Take espionage and sabotage as examples. It is life imprisonment in the UK, but only 20 years imprisonment in Hong Kong. And for offences relating to prohibited organizations, so say if you allow your premises to be occupied by such organization, or you incite others to join, or you subscribe to it by paying money to it, they are all with maximum imprisonment of 7 years in Hong Kong, but it doubled to become 14 years imprisonment in England. Again, if you do the maths, collectively in the UK has 18 national security laws, and we in Hong Kong have, including this bill, 3. So why is the UK complaining? And thirdly, we go to Singapore, for example. The Singapore Internal Security Act is far harsher than our counterpart here. Not only has trial by jury been abolished altogether, but Singapore has never signed the ICCPR. Singapore has never signed the ICCPR. So unlike Hong Kong, we have a very different to Singapore. Unlike Hong Kong, Singapore retains the death penalty for treason, whereas Hong Kong's maximum sentence for treason is only life imprisonment. So also in Singapore, national security suspects can be detained by executive orders without trial for up to 2 years. But for Hong Kong, the government, only the judiciary has power to order detention for such a duration. Now, we do have the Hong Kong national security law since 2020, and it has been wisely applied by our independent judiciary. Our judiciary has respected the accused person's right to legal representation and the right to a fair trial. No unfair decision has ever been made against the accused. In fact, there are decisions unfavorable to the government, and they are now taken on appeal by the government. So to be credible, I urge Western powers should end their double standards, and Western medias have to end their baseless smearing of our Safeguarding National Security Bill. Thank you.
She is a professional certified public accountant and also the convener of Citizen Alliance of Hong Kong. Susanna, 你喺邊度？
喺度。Okay.
The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Junior. Thank you, Dada, and the organizing committee. Thank you for inviting me to share some of my opinion. So being a professional accountant and also senior management of a listed company, and I would like to highlight a few important areas, how the implementation of Safeguarding National Security Bill, namely Article 23, is necessary to protect the stability, security, and sovereignty of Hong Kong. Compared to other Western countries, the proposed bill would be more beneficial in protecting property and investment. I'll just call a few major points. First and foremost, Article 23 ensures a stable business environment in Hong Kong by preventing external forces from inciting disturbances and investment. by preventing external forces from inciting disturbances and also disrupting social order. It also criminalized those who sabotage public infrastructure, including water and energy, networks and computer systems, transport and logistic infrastructure, and also logistic infrastructure for financial services. Hence, it safeguards a stable environment for business and commerce to operate and flourish. Secondly, Article 23 introduced offenses related to state secrets and espionage, designating national or regional technological developments on scientific research, scientific secrets as state secrets. This effectively protects Hong Kong's cutting-edge technology research and advanced industrial technologies, safeguarding the potential commercial interest of investors in the field of innovation and technology. Protecting advanced scientific research and industrial technologies, which is crucial for the national development. I'll quote an example. In the mid-19th century, the British individual called Robert Fortune stole Chinese tea cultivation techniques and transport them to India, causing significant damage to China's tea export trade. Hong Kong is currently in the process of commercializing various cutting-edge technologies, and the proposed Article 23 would protect these technological secrets, thereby safeguarding Hong Kong's future wealth. Thirdly, the proposed Article 23 does not adopt the UK's National Security and Investment Act or the US Foreign Agents Registration Act. The former scrutinizes investment funds sources and imposes restrictions on merger transactions, while the latter authorized the US government to require business and enterprise to disclose their relationships, activities, and financial transactions with foreign governments on national security grounds. So the fact that the Hong Kong law does not follow the exact models of these UK and US laws demonstrates the Hong Kong government's respect for private property and lawful commercial activities, as well as its welcoming stance towards international business and investors coming to Hong Kong. Therefore, in summary, as opposed to many rumors and misguided opinions, Article 23, in fact, will help maintain social order, protect public safety, and ensure the long-term prosperity of Hong Kong. Hence, I welcome the implementation of Article 23 and sincerely hope to gain your support too. Thank you.
Thank you, Susanna. Next, we would like to invite Professor Thomas Chiu. 教授，趙教授，你喺咪度啊？趙教授。
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, 趙教授 is here. Okay, the floor is yours.
大家好，我想同大家分享一個好特別嘅事情，就係我哋嘅外交部嘅部長王毅先生就將會喺17號至21號訪問澳洲。咁我用中文講嘅粵語講嘅原因呢，就其實係一個好典型嘅例子，就係話澳洲嗰個反外國干預法已經標籤咗我哋所有嘅人，用唔同嘅方式去煽動也好，去做其他事情都好咧，都可能咧一身蟻嘅。嗱，我唔係危言聳聽，但最重要一點咧就係頭先阿子敬提出第一位講者講嘅，即係阿李梓敬議員，佢就話23條立法如果公布咗之後咧，就香港更加會穩定嘅。我完全支持佢嘅睇法，原因就係話而家喺澳洲嘅南澳，即係澳洲外交部部長黃英賢嘅選區入邊，正正係匿咗一個香港嘅逃犯許智峰。我係會覺得站響我哋整體嘅國家嘅政策嚟講，喺外交部嘅官員方面係不適宜去講一個好少嘅事情，因為許智峰嘅事情係香港人嘅事情，亦都係香港人應該去做去解決嘅問題。所以我哋會睇到當前我知道嘅澳洲一啲非常之有仗義精神嘅朋友已經開始做佢哋相關嘅工作。我亦都期待咧香港嘅朋友能夠參與，令到23條立法之後，許智峰呢一類咁樣嘅逃犯就唔會喺海外嘅平台上面繼續對香港指指點點。我用粵語發言嘅原因，亦都係從某個意義嚟講，係避咗自己一啲不必要嘅麻煩。嗱，我又會覺得 大家假以時日就會了解我而家講嘅係一個乜嘢嘅情況。我哋而家呢種情況咧，就有助於大家去理解23條立法響香港係幾咁重要，因為澳洲嘅國家安全法遠遠比香港嚴重得多，而我哋最近出現嘅一個澳洲華僑楊怡生被判入獄嘅事情，其實係一個冤獄嚟嘅，但係我哋冇辦法幫到佢，原因就係反外國干預法。所以大家會了解喺呢個問題上面，澳洲嘅法例嗰個國安法、國家安全法遠遠比香港而家將要立嘅23條立法係嚴重得多，而且係辣得多嘅。我講到呢度為止，多謝大家。
跟住咧就阿藍爺要講翻啲意見俾我哋聽下啦。藍爺係我哋嘅前輩啊，亦都係咧資深嘅局長、前局長，咁咧佢一定係對呢個深有體會嘅。阿藍爺
，It's your turn, David. It's your turn.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to be here to speak on behalf of Hong Kong, my home. That, in fact, I'm just representing the view of many Hong Kong, the average persons in Hong Kong, who are very concerned about the safety of this place, the Hong Kong SAR, which has suffered tremendous difficulties in the year 2019. You know, kind of severe damage made by lawbreakers to the average business, to the daily lives of the average persons, and including that of the housewives, business individuals, as well as students. Now, the need for the Article 23, that in fact has been promulgated and actually been we have discussed about it among groups of citizens ourselves, including with lawyers like Solicitor Ho and other people. We advocated that Article 23 is something that's needed by Hong Kong way back. We advocated that way back in 2016, 2017, and throughout that period, we keep saying that. And yet, for one reason or another, the government has been acted very slowly. And now it appears that people are now, the Legislative Council and members, the honourable members, have now looked at the situation and said, yes, we do really need this Article 23, and it's now studying this more seriously. Now, let me point out, if you look at the provisions suggested in the proposed Article 23, advocated by Hong Kong, and compare with that, which already existed in the United Kingdom, in the USA, and other parts of Europe, what we are proposing is something really very mild. In fact, in places, what we say, I heard a barrister at law just now, Mr. Ma, says that many provisions with regards to sabotage and in UK, it's life imprisonment, and many things are imposed as life imprisonment if proven. Whereas in Hong Kong, they were just imposing something like 20 years, which is the maximum. Now, life imprisonment as compared to 20 years imprisonment is obviously, there's a big difference. That's just one example. I'm not a professional lawyer, so I'm not in a position to list out all those comparisons, which might be studied by our experts. But I'm sure that those in the legal profession will look at it and they notice that what we are now suggesting are something very reasonable, something very sensible that helps to bring life easier, more safety, greater safety for the business community, for people who do business, for people who attend schools, for professionals, and in fact for daily those who, like myself, as average citizens in Hong Kong. So I advocate that now is a time that Hong Kong should look at the situation seriously and compare with what we are now suggesting. Compare that with the UK. Compare that with the US. We are such modest and mild in our approach. So why do people outside keep saying, oh, Hong Kong should not do it? Now, that's wrong. That's certainly wrong. It's something that you need your protection, and we are asking for, when we are asking for something so modest, you say, you don't need it. Now, that is unfair. And Hong Kong is already a signature of ICCPR, as someone pointed out just now, and Singapore's not yet. And yet, you allow Singapore to do it. Singapore is our brother, our good friend. I'm all of admiration for Singapore, but compare with the provisions laid down in their law, similar to our Article 23, what we are proposing is much milder, much softer. So, and we are already a signatory to ICCPR. Whereas I was told just now, the Singapore
very detailed explanation. Thank you，林爺，多謝。嗱，我哋而家喺度咧，仲有我哋咧嘅 IPSA 嘅榮譽副會長咧，趙 Sir 柱基興喺度。不如咁樣，由柱基興咧帶領咧，我哋而家 online 嘅一眾嘅 KOL 咧，集體一齊討論一下。我哋唔使一個個講啦，一齊集討論。我哋討論時間咧係10分鐘，10分鐘。好，趙 Sir 交俾你。
喺呢個人權理事會，我哋喺呢度幾日嘅工作，喺聯合國工作，亦都俾我哋 KOL 有啲啟發。我哋喺會場裏邊聽到好多虛假嘅信息，好多係唔真實嘅信息，係由一啲道貌岸然嘅人權衛士喺度發聲，係令到好多市民係聽咗就真係入咗心。咁我覺得我哋 KOL 雖然唔係傳媒新工作者，但係呢個第四權同埋呢個傳媒道德係要我哋嘅責任嚟嘅。所以我希望我哋 KOL 界會喺一啲市民佢哋接受咗假信息，或者好多有別有用心嘅 KOL， 佢哋會將我哋個23條妖魔化。好多其實喺23條諮詢文件已經解釋得好清楚，亦都係列出咗外國嘅相關嘅國安條例，比我哋係嚴重好多。但係點解我哋市民都聽唔到呢？所以我希望我哋嘅 KOL 咧能夠幫我哋講出真正嘅說話，亦都係多啲搜集資料，俾多啲群眾、普通市民去知道嘅真相。或者就我哋俾翻個咪得，你交俾下一位。
好啦，不如在場我見到有華哥啦，有Grace 啦，仲有其他 KOL 啊，不如大家發表意見啦。華哥
，OK，Alex Young speaking。
聽唔到你把聲喎，你開咪未啊
？OK， 得唔得 ？Testing 1 2 3。
長話短説。
OK，Alex Young speaking。Hong Kong lead Article 23 because Hong Kong cannot forget the 2019 virus. We in Hong Kong don't want to become serious. Hong Kong need a national security law to have stability and prosperity. Okay, that's it. 唔使咁多，幾句搞掂啦。
Very good. Excellent. Well done.
你有乜意見啊 ？Grace 嗱 ，Grace 咧，你喺我哋政研會嗰度咧，其實咧，2019年咧就睇到好多我哋即係社會嘅變化，我哋都付出咗好多嘢嘅。Grace， 我想你出嚟講幾句過往嘅嘢，同埋我哋對23條期望。
香港好需要23條。我哋回想翻2019年嘅黑暴，幾多市民被啲黑暴徒打到受傷，好多鋪頭亦都燒到爛晒啊！咁，我哋市民亦都唔敢翻工， 甚至乎咧，我屋企嘅工人出街見到啲着黑色衫嘅人咧，都驚到不得了。如果我哋冇23條立法嘅話，2019會唔會重來咧？我哋好擔心，我哋所有市民都好擔心，所以我哋唔可以鬆懈，希望盡快能夠立到23條。呢啲係我哋所有市民最期望、最渴望嘅。交翻俾大家個咪。
OK， 多謝 Grace 啊 ，Grace 咧都喺23條嗰度推動咧，當時我哋個聯署嗰度咧付出咗好大嘅努力嘅。跟住想問 David Sir 而家喺內地係咪啊 ？David Sir
唔係翻咗香港。
好
啊，咁我覺得今次維護國家安全條例草案嘅立法可以極速通過，係非常之開心嘅。因為喺2020年，我記得我哋喺度推動23條立法嘅時候，其實全香港有220萬嘅香港市民係支持23條立法嘅。咁而家我哋立法會同埋委員會嘅主席廖長江同埋所有內務委員會嘅委員，咁同埋我哋嘅律政司司長，其實喺23條裏面咧出咗好多力，尤其是我嘅保安局局長鄧炳強先生，亦都係喺過去嘅好長嘅日子裏面作出一個反駁隊嘅工作，所以我希望23條好快就會喺下個禮拜大會度通過。呢一個我諗係全香港市民所想嘅一個好耐啦，等咗好耐啦，實在越快越好。多謝晒你。
多謝大衛 Sir。小 Sir， 你有冇嘢補充啊？議員你有冇嘢補充啊？我哋仲有少少時間。
係啊，我見到阿關教授喺度，咁啊等阿關教授講埋先啦，好嘛？咁然後我先有啲咩可以補充。關教授啊，
關教授多謝你啊！關教授係我哋經常同我哋一齊俾有指導我哋嘅，好專業、好 professional， 亦係香港大學嘅退休教授。關教授，
好啊，我啱佢哋係啦，我啱上到網，好高興咧喺呢度簡短講幾句説話。我覺得咧就係23條咧就係呢個立法咧真係已經拖咗好耐啦。我哋過去嗰幾年嘅努力咧，而家終於咧就係冇白費到，咁啊好開心。我覺得即係最緊要幾點嚇。第一咧，如果從即係學術界，特別係即係大學裏邊咧，呢個過去我哋睇到2019至2020嗰段時間裏邊，好多學生咧係即係由於唔知道有所謂國家安全呢個咁嘅意識。做咗好多咧，佢哋當時可能都係屬於一種天真啊，可能係即係屬於無知啊咁樣咧，就犯下咗彌天嘅大錯。到而家仲有相當多嘅一啲嘅即係年青人咧，由於咁樣嘅時候咧，即係或者可以講係一失足成千古恨呢樣嘢咧，係即係相當即係令人感到遺憾嘅。咁而家我覺得23條立法咧，即係我睇裏邊嘅一啲嘅條文啊，剛才我聽到即係好多嘅即係大家嘅發言都清楚啦。咁就係咧，其實咧就係好寬鬆，最緊要咧就係我哋係根據即係我哋所熟悉嘅普通法嚟到即係推行好多咧，就係呢個唔係屬於即係經濟問題，唔係屬於社會問題，屬於政治問題。咁我哋唔需要話即係太擔心，我哋明白到咧喺一國之下，永遠需要有一個國家安全嘅呢個咁嘅概念。美國咧係最識得濫用國家安全呢個概念，乜都講到國家安全，反而咧就係我哋。喺呢個一國之下，我哋反而冇，反而係即係俾好多即係其他嘅即係外部勢力咧，係即係呢個轉咗空子。呢樣嘢係極端係即係我哋好遺憾。而家趁住咁嘅機會咧，我哋盡快將我哋應該做嘅憲制責任將佢完成咗佢，我都好開心嘅。咁啊，即係我哋過去嗰幾年經過咁長期嘅努力，200幾萬人嘅簽名，終於而家見得到咧係有咁嘅成果。我哋係相當唔錯。我哋需要係即係互相。即係恭祝大家嘅努力，多謝各位，
多謝阿關教授。咁跟住咧，我哋有另外一位 guest 咧，佢係一個西人嚟嘅，佢係一個美國人嚟嘅，佢係中大中文大學嘅教授、副教授。Professor Peter Beattie，are you there?
Yes.
Oh, well, we are very, very happy to have you here today. So please share your view about the Article 23 legislation. Thank you.
Sure. The first thought that came to mind when I was asked to give some thoughts about the NSL was a quote from William Shao, who was, I believe, an American economist who helped to design the Taiwanese healthcare system in the 1990s. He was later asked by an American journalist if he learned anything in his design of Taiwan's healthcare system from the US's healthcare system. And his answer was, yes, we learned a lot from the US system. We learned what not to do. And so when I see comparisons between the NSL and the US Patriot Act, I get somewhat nervous. Unfortunately, the actions of my government have left me with no moral ground to stand on from which to criticize similar national security legislation in other countries. So I'll limit my remark to thinking about, I guess I would just say that the burden now falls on Hong Kong's Department of Justice and Hong Kong's judiciary to ensure that the law is applied in a fair and sensible manner. And what I mean by that is just imagine the thinking of, let's say, the more Machiavellian among the foreign policy establishment in the US. From their perspective, over-enforcement of the NSL is fantastic because then they can use that as grist for the mill in their information warfare. And the other danger is powerful vested interests in Hong Kong putting pressure on the government to use the NSL to protect their own interests and actually harming society overall. So I would just say that my hope is that the Department of Justice and the judiciary here can apply the law in a manner that protects the public interest, protects whistleblowers, and limits it to actual cases of support and cooperation with foreign intelligence agencies for the purpose of undermining Hong Kong, and to avoid prosecuting people who simply want to make society better by pointing out corruption or other social ills. Thank you.
So, are you still there? My question: what do you think about the 2019 riot in Hong Kong? Is it something we should deal with, so that we should have the Article 23 legislation enacted? So, what do you think about the relationship between the riot and the law?
Well, I mean, I think it's entirely reasonable for countries to want to restrict foreign governments from, fomenting discord, from causing violence, etc. The only warning that pops up in my head is, again, when you look at it from the perspective of the foreign policy establishment in the U.S., they would view it as a win if this law is overextended. If it's limited to the stated purpose, then they get nothing out of it. But, again, I don't feel like I have a moral ground to stand on to critique the law, given that my own government's Patriot Act it makes Big Brother's spying capacities in 1984 look like child's play. But I would just share that viewpoint from the perspective of the foreign policy establishment in the U.S. Of course, it makes sense to limit, to the extent possible, foreign intelligence agencies from attempting to cause problems in other parts of the world. But at the same time, the public interest is in limited enforcement.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for your idea and explanation. Thank you. 好啦，咁我哋翻現場啦，議員，我交翻個咪俾你咯。
剛才聽咗好多位嘅意見，especially those who mentioned about the enactment of the national security ordinance, whether or not it will whether or not it is in compliance with or in conformity with the international standard. The resounding answer is yes. And number two, is there a need and necessity for Hong Kong to have the national security law in place? Again, the answer is a resounding yes. And number three, of course, that is also a very legitimate concern to raise is, in future, as soon as the law is enacted, will it be carefully applied? And also to avoid any malpractice or malicious prosecution. I'm sure, this is a common concern, and this is also a very legitimate concern. Given the Hong Kong situation, it is a rule of law-based city. highly modernized, highly civic, and with so many brainy young people, talented lawyers, and also responsible officials in charge. I would only can think of is that whatever the decision taken by the government in the circumstances and also in the context of Hong Kong must be for the protection of the Hong Kong interests. It must be in the interests of the public. So therefore, we should not have any doubt or any suspicions about whether or not we have, as soon as this piece of law enacted, it will become a weapon in hands of an unreasonable thinking, unreasonable-minded governments to run Hong Kong affairs. No, I don't think that is the case. So with the discussions as put before, I am particularly happy to say, also from my capacity as a member of the Legislative Council, I have every confidence in seeing that Hong Kong will recover fully recover from the 2019 incidents. And that was basically, and in fact, actually a revolution and try to upset and turn over, Hong Kong upside down. And with the enactment of this piece of the national safeguarding Hong Kong national security ordinance, Hong Kong economy and also the stability will be fully recovered and reinstated without any problem. And that's my message. Thank you.
好多謝議員。咁現場咧，我想問下，仲有冇邊位 KOL 係未發言㗎？有冇啊？ Okay, so that's come to an end of today's online forums. But this is just the beginning of the Hong Kong voice to be heard all over the world. So join us, subscribe our fan page of IPSA, so you will know more. And we invite you to join us to tell Hong Kong story well. Thank you.
Goodbye.